Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
I was trying to remember if we did an episode in 2021. We did one, right?
I don't remember.
I don't know. If not, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Or reprise.
Every day
Happy
is
New
6
Year
years
again.
now, so I really can't keep anything straight.
Well, we're basically near the end of January. My semester started.
I know.
Well, officially. It
Yep.
started. Yeah. It's chaos.
It is chaos.
It always is.
It is chaos. Winston is looking at our shinies,
Oh my gosh,
but they're protected.
He's going to
They're in
knock
good
down.
cases.
He's like, okay, wait. I'm not getting the attention I need. Let me knock something over.
How are things? How's the weekend going?
Okay, I guess. Oh, we watched The Truman Show yesterday. Amazon Prime watch party.
Yep.
I had never seen the movie. Came out in 1998, and I very much enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was an enjoyable watch party for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's like your genre. That's what I said last night. Like, this really fits for you.
Yeah.
The meta-ness, the critique of it all.
Yeah. My one goal in life, if I were to, I don't know, I guess I'm at the stage where I'm making life goals now, is to
just one.
Make something that is a like creative critique commentary that isn't direct critique. Like it's something that's artistic. Like that that's the mind space I'm in this entire year.
Had to get reorganized.
Yeah.
My leg was uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was a good movie.
Also, the Bills play today.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait for football to be over. I'm happy for you and the Bills, but I really don't. It's not my thing.
Yeah, well.
Your eyes, you're just like, what are you going to say?
No, I mean, to be fair, it's not like you don't even watch it or anything. It's not that big of a deal.
No.
But, yeah, it should be an interesting week. Got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I don't have my wand, and neither do you.
Oh my god, we don't have our wand. I don't even know where the wand's. I think
just
I stored away.
It's good practice. Some charades.
I stored away the wands. Okay, ready?
Wands ready?
Yeah.
Wands ready. Okay, turn to page 252, Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. Today's lesson is called Animus. Which
you're gonna have to define that to me. Yeah.
Okay. Animus is a word.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically. The chapter begins with Harry trying to manage Ron and Hermione's anger at each other. Neither seems willing to relent, and Harry angers Hermione too when he suggests Crookshanks likely did kill Scabbers. The Weasleys are trying to cheer Ron up about the apparent loss of his pet, but Harry finally breaks through by suggesting Ron try out his Firebolt after their Quidditch practice. The practice goes spectacularly, with Harry zipping around on his amazing new broomstick. The morning of their match versus Ravenclaw, other students gawk at the broom, including a jealous Malfoy. When the match arrives, Harry faces off against Cho Chang, who seems determined to simply interfere with Harry catching the snitch. Eventually, Harry does manage to get the snitch and win the match, even casting a patronus at some dementors who are actually just Malfoy and other Slytherins. The Gryffindors have a post-match celebration in the common room before finally getting to bed. Their sleep is interrupted, though, when Ron awakes to claim he saw Sirius Black standing over him. McGonagall is summoned to investigate and finds that the portrait of Sir Cadogan let Black in because he had a list of passwords on... Oh, he had a list of passwords.
Poor little Neville. He's just like, me, I'm the one, I'm the... However she phrased it, she phrased it very harshly.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, so back to your question about how was your weekend, I forgot that I was doing a book club.
Right.
For WizardPhD book club is reading Half-Blood Prince right now, or we read Half-Blood Prince. So I basically was confused about little moments in here because I was like, wait, Scabbers? And it was just like a whole thing. And I was like, oh yeah, never mind. I know where
Scabbers
I am.
is just Scabbers right now.
Yeah,
he's just scabbering around.
Well, he's potentially dead. Actually, what's really interesting is that sorry to jump ahead for just a second, but if you haven't read Half-Blood Prince, just very generally, Ron and Hermione have issues. And so I was reminded again, like
Julia Michaels' song issues, or...
this whole situation where Harry's basically like, oh, I
A
don't know.
mediator.
I don't know if their friendship can be repaired. It's like this whole thing. And they go
Yeah.
through this again in later years. So that made me laugh.
Yeah, when Ron accuses Hermione of never being able to admit that she's wrong, I was like, that bodes well for your marriage.
Poor little Hermione.
It's kind of a
She's just
yeah.
crying.
Yeah.
Part of it is like from her perspective, she's also like upset because of being blamed for other things that's happening in this year. So
Yeah, right.
she's like, it's not just the whole the Scabbers Crookshanks thing is just like another thing on top of other stuff and stuff that we don't really
Yeah, you gotta
know
feel
at
you gotta
this
feel
point.
for Hermione. I think Ron is right in this case. Like,
Yeah.
why can't you just like admit that this is possible?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Harry is supposed to be playing that sort of like semi-impartial, or not
Yeah, yeah.
impartial, but like wanting both of them to just chill out. And it's like, well, I don't know. Your cat probably killed that rat.
Yeah. But it's just like another because
But she's just
obviously
unraveling, you know?
stressed,
Yeah.
but we don't fully know why, but we know some elements of it have to
Mm.
do with her telling McGonagall, or did she tell McGonagall specific the Firebolt? So she was, and she
Mhm,
basically was like, Harry, leave me alone.
Yep.
I gotta go read this book. And it's like, because I asked you, I was like,
And then
why
after
is
they
why
win,
is she
she's the only
reading this
one.
thing about British muggles? Like, you're fine, girl, just wing it. You are, you grew up with muggles. It's
She wouldn't
fine.
be her if she could just wing it.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, because she also doesn't participate in the celebratory party after the game.
Yeah. Well, part
It's
of it
tough,
is probably
yeah.
because she doesn't want to be around Ron. She doesn't want to be
I
around
mean,
that
Hermione
energy.
in this book is such a I guess it's neither of these books. One
Wait,
is
what
Chamber
book
of
do you have?
Secrets, and
Oh, I
one
have
is
Sorcerer's Stone.
I think it's out in
underneath
the
me.
other room. But yeah, she's like a case study for an overworked teenager, in school, and kind of I think there's nothing more evident than that she doesn't even participate. I mean, in part she blames it on Ron, but I feel like it's
Yeah.
just that she's totally burnt out, and even late at night when everyone else is enjoying themselves, she is studying.
Well, unfortunately, those because it's easy to be like, oh, I mean, I also kind of empathize with this because I was similarly like that in high school where I like did all the things and it's just kind of like, well, you need to chill out. So like people being like, Hermione, you need to chill out, but it's not that simple. It's not disconnected from all. She probably gets praised from adults around her for being
Oh, of
that
course.
sort of way. And so it's like this interconnected system that is not easy to undo unless everyone undoes it and stops perpetuating those narratives of like, oh, this is what you should be doing. Like, be more like Hermione. She's studying. She's going places in life. And it's like,
Yeah, I think we talk
you know?
about peer pressure a lot in school, but not so much adult pressure or like supervisor pressure. How does that all work? It's arguably more influential for some students. People are different. There's always this sort of cloud of influences happening to any particular person, and
right.
You can, I mean, if that doesn't describe like how people make decisions, then I don't know what does.
Yeah, it's very interesting because now I'm thinking back a lot of this chapter. Fred and George were there, and so thinking about for individual people, different kinds of influences have different kinds of impacts. So if it's like Winnie wants to be part of the podcast. I'm trying to talk here, Winston. I'm telling them about influences and how we're all shaped by each other, but in different ways. But like Fred and George they obviously bring like, I mean, they always do like their little
levity.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Well, because a big piece of it, well, I don't know if you would count it as a big piece, but there are little moments. And one moment was with Scabbers, and I don't know which one of them was like, oh, Ron, why are you sulking about? Just go and get a new one, sort of thing. And but that moment in particular reminded me of the two of them in the context of the family. We briefly talked about this in a previous book of Molly always being stressed out and whatever, and perhaps like, okay, we'll take this role, like cheer mom up, or that's like what they do because everyone around them seems to have their own stuff or whatever, and so what they feel like they're good at is bringing that joy that comes along, or just that goofiness, and how important it is to have people, I was gonna say characters, but in general people that are
Goofballs.
Yeah.
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 I'm the anti-Percy.
Oh my God, Percy. I can't with
Except
Percy.
not so much. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Like Percy is so similar to Hermione in a lot of ways. Like I think the pressures that he feels aren't the same. The pressures he prioritizes aren't the same as, say, a pressure that Harry would prioritize, or Ron, or Fred and George.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're talking about people and influence, but of course a big part is like your interpretation of your context. So like Percy's whole thing is like, oh, I'm gonna like have a good name for my family, or what like he has his own thing. It's not like his family, his parents or anything are just like, oh, I wish we had more money, or I wish we had more status. Like that isn't an explicit message, but it's something that he like recognizing their positioning around other families and other people. He takes it up in a particular way.
Yeah, I think he could be the type of empath that like reads conversations between his parents about money as like something to avoid, or like that situation is something that like should be avoided, and it would be great if they could avoid it in the future. So it's kind of an interesting.
Perhaps, but I also feel like they're kind of fine with it. Like part of
That's what I'm saying, but his
okay.
interpretation
I see.
of it would be like, oh, this is not
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that people should have to go through, or something like that. Just a suggestion of
Yeah.
what he might think.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So a lot of this chapter, well, the chapter was about a Quidditch match, and then a bunch of stuff happens like at the end. But for Quidditch, everyone's like, oh my God, Harry's Firebolt. He finally gets to use it. Everyone wants to touch it or look at it or see if it's actually real, which, what would Harry Potter be doing with a knockoff broom? That seems more sketch.
Just a squeaky toy.
It made me wonder about,
To scale.
because other people have, I've in my quick Google search, thinking about the kinds of equipment. Okay, this is a school Quidditch match. It's not professional. It's not like they're even competing different schools. It's like houses within a one school. So I'm like analog thinking of, okay, school sports or organized sports that I had or participated in growing up. And I was trying to, when we were talking before, thinking about, okay, what would be similar enough where the equipment would matter. So we talked very briefly, or we mentioned, okay, baseball, hockey, those are team sports, but then also golf or tennis. Although I was like, I played tennis in middle school. I wasn't good at all, but my parents bought me a tennis racket. It was a thing that I had, even though I'm pretty sure that there's some school equipment that you can use, which I imagine is similar to this school. I don't know. I didn't really look up any details there. But it's kind of funny because we also briefly talked about Malfoy's whole situation of his dad buying the entire team. Nimbus 2001. So.
I don't know what to say about Malfoy.
Yeah, Malfoy is
it's exhausting.
It is exhausting, but I'm like trying to put myself in his little mind, like of why does he hate Harry so much? So Harry is the chosen one, or labeled, well, he's not necessarily labeled that regularly at this point, but it's like the boy who lived, he's already famous. He didn't even grow up with a family, and he seems to be like happy.
Yeah, it's
I think
entitlement.
the part that gets Malfoy the most is how happy Harry can be. He can have friends. It seems like he can have all of this, and Malfoy can't even really seem to get a family that seems, I don't know, like caring in the way that perhaps he wants to be cared for. And so then his like whole thing is like, well, what am I gonna do? Replicate what I see, like power, whatever. But it's still not, I think, even though fulfillment is like a messy thing, because I feel like it is so elusive, even if you seem like you're happy or whatever, but that seems to be Malfoy's whole thing, and refusing to let that go because he just wants Harry to be in pain, I feel like. And that's kind of to get satisfaction of being like, okay, the world is fair, which it's so messy, and that poor kid, but he's also a terror.
I don't have sympathy for him. I feel like it's he is purposeful about what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's not just some reaction to an inner monologue. He has a purpose to trying to tear Harry Potter down because he thinks that he is entitled to be, the person in control of everyone else.
Yeah, but I'm saying like so the entitlement I think is a good way to frame it because like his family is rich and powerful, like he should be like the top of the top of the top. But some nobody who doesn't even have parents, and I think that's why that's such a sticking point for Malfoy every time he's like, "Oh, I want to like get Harry." It's like, "Oh, well, you don't even have a family," sort of thing.
Yep.
But Malfoy can't seem to win. So, one of the questions that I had as I was reading, because again, I don't know, it's been so long since I read this book. I'm pretty sure I've only read it once, and it was like a long time ago. So I was like, oh my god, why are there Dementors again? And then you were like, just wait. So I was just kind of like, okay, what are even standards or protections or whatever? I know that there are Dementors here in this year at this moment, but I was thinking in general, what are there any security measures or anything for Quidditch
Just the
pitches?
gates.
Yeah. So in Quidditch history, that's where it took me. The Department of Magical Games and Sports was created after the International Statute of Secrecy was established in 1692. So part of this is like, okay, well, people are playing Quidditch. Like we need to, once they decided we're going to go into hiding, what are the different areas? And so there's of course a lot of different departments in the Ministry of Magic to protect the statute of secrecy. And each individual or country-based ministry is in charge of regulating this. So
they have their own statute of secrecy task force.
I don't know. No, that's just Constance figuring. No, I imagine that they have similar departments across different magical governments. But Quidditch teams do not play locally anymore as a result of this. And so then this department ended up setting up Quidditch pitches. Like these are designated places for witches and wizards to play Quidditch. And so teams go and travel and they play. And I mean, it's not anything different as like, although I feel like every team basically has their own stadium, but like if you have these designated locations, everyone comes and they travel, blah, 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 blah. But there was anti-Muggle security as part of the construction of these Quidditch pitches by this department. Okay, so fine. Because I'm thinking like, well, it wouldn't matter, or it wouldn't quite make sense to like try to deter Dementors. I was trying to like think through a process of like, what else would you want to protect or anything like that? Because Muggles can't see Dementors, so I guess it
just a dragon
anyway.
just comes flying in.
Yeah. I don't really know, but apparently
the dragon has stolen the quaffle.
Yeah, all I could see was that there are anti-Muggle protections built into that. The other thing in my research that I was looking at was...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you think there's like an extreme sports form of Quidditch where there is a dragon on the field and you just have to play around it?
I don't know, because I was thinking also just in my pondering, I didn't really look too much into this of like, so sports are supposed to be a leisure activity and just sort of like entertainment. So I was thinking, because people have commented on so many boards and stuff about how ridiculous the point system and the rules of Quidditch are, like, or maybe not necessarily the rules, but like the game itself seems so ridiculous of like, okay, catching the golden snitch, like, you know, you just win it. Like, what? What's the point of that? To which J.K. Rowling has publicly responded on Twitter and said that Quidditch is supposed to represent the human condition, which I'm kind of like, whatever, it's fine. Because ultimately, to me, it's more simple than that. It's just, what is entertaining for witches and wizards? It's this Quidditch thing, even with this ridiculous scoring system. Like, that is the entertainment.
The scoring system is a weak point of it. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't really make any sense. But
they enjoy it. So as long as you enjoy it, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I suppose not.
So rule number 6 in Quidditch, there are a series of rules that you have to follow. Wands may be taken on to the pitch. We talked about this, I think, possibly.
Good, otherwise Harry would have broken a rule.
Yeah, in year 1 or year 2. In a previous book, we talked about this specific rule because the right to carry a wand at all times was introduced in 1692. Around the time, like right before the Statute of Secrecy was established, because Muggle persecution was at like a high point. So They were like, all right, you can carry your wand everywhere, or you should, to protect yourself, whatever. So, wands can be taken onto the pitch, but under no circumstances whatsoever be used against opposing team members, any opposing team member's broom, the referee, any of the balls, or any member of the crowd. So I read that and I was like, did Harry break the rule?
Going to jail.
I mean, or does Malfoy and his friend, like,
that's probably professional
Marcus,
rules.
Yeah, true.
At the school,
so
it's
school's
like
just like justice rules.
Yeah, you can't dress up as like
Malfoy,
a Dementor and
Crabbe,
not expect to
Goyle,
get
Marcus Flint, and then
blasted.
do they even count as being in the crowd since they were technically trespassing onto the
Yeah.
field? You know, so I was like asking all these questions in my head. But also, interestingly, this ban on,
I don't know what they thought, how they thought that was going to go down.
They thought that Harry would fall.
No, I
and then
get
they
that,
would
but like
laugh at
even if they
him.
did, they would still get in a crap ton of trouble.
I
like,
think, for sure. I don't think that
Dumbledore comes out, just smashes them.
Yeah,
thinks
so
they're
I guess
actual Dementors.
They were expecting to get in trouble, perhaps, or maybe they were hoping that Snape would like.
Sorry,
get them
Lucius,
out
I
of this.
stupefied Draco right
my
to the
God.
schnoz.
Oh yeah, Lucius is the governor of Hogwarts, so he's he's probably, or head of the governors. He's probably like, oh, it's fine, whatever. So this ban
Not
on
anymore, I don't think. Didn't that happen in the second book at
Oh,
the end? They're
I'm
like,
so
oh, hey, you
confused on
tortured
this.
people
I
or
don't
something.
know.
Or
Does
you
Lucius
threatened them.
ever get in trouble for anything?
Yeah, who knows? I
Does
don't
he? This ban on using wands against the opposing team wasn't imposed until 1538.
Now that's the Quidditch I want to see. Flipping
So,
around, you're just like,
Yeah. Apparently, there are 700 recorded fouls. It's kept in records in the Department of Magical Games and Sports. And this is like kind of a note by oh my gosh, I can't remember the guys. It's like Kenningston or something. Wisp, the guy who wrote Magical or Quidditch Through the Ages, which is the book that I looked at. He said that in his research, he got to see the records and he's like, yeah, I agree. Oh, so okay, I didn't finish my thought. Nobody has seen this full list because the department doesn't want people to get ideas. So he said that in his research, he was able to acquire the list and like look through it. And he's like, yeah, I agree. But all of these 700 fouls apparently occurred during the first Quidditch World Cup in 1473, which is funny because
well, then you might as well make them public.
What did you do for like
already
50, 60 years that you were like, oh, this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. No, this is not fine. No one should use their wands against the other team. Like, it's obviously cheating.
Rule number 1.
Unless they
no killing curses.
They found that as part of the entertainment. They're like, oh, hey.
Do the one that replicates the quaffle and just have like 1,000 of them and score like over and over again.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, 90%, according to this guy who wrote Quidditch Through the Ages, said 90% are impossible if the ban on using a wand is actually followed. So most of those 700 are just magical.
Set somebody's broom on fire.
Right. Actually, yes. So that is one. I don't know. Well, I don't know if that one was categorized in the 90% because then he was talking about the remaining 10%, most of them are very unlikely unless you have like, these are my words, a sociopath, just, burning people's brooms on fire or just whatever. And then there were 10 rules that end up being in the book because those are the most common fouls that happen. So yeah, there's like one of them in particular was like if a non-seeker grabs the snitch. That's called a snitch nip or something like that.
A snitch snatch.
Snitch. It's right there. Snitch snatch.
Well, see, that's something that always has troubled me, actually. Did you come across anything about can they all touch the quaffle or only the chasers?
I didn't look specifically at all 10 of them. I know that I've glanced at them before.
Because I feel like when we get to the 4th book and there's the Quidditch World Cup, there's a scene where the announcer is calling a play-by-play. And I think that the quaffle goes to all 7 of the Irish players. And it always stuck out to me as being like, oh, that's kind of interesting because And I think in one of Harry's practices, they also have a practice where they're like all tossing around the quaffle. But I don't ever hear of Harry like scoring, like with the quaffle. So I just found it interesting. Like maybe they can't score, maybe they can touch it or whatever it might
in
be.
soccer, any player can touch the ball
Right.
with their feet. The keeper's the only person who can touch it with their hands within the
box.
particular area of the box. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't look at it specifically.
I was just curious. Yeah, it always stuck out to me. When we get to that, maybe we'll think about it again.
For sure.
That was good. That's good stuff on Quidditch.
Yeah.
That's an endless little thing for us of just stuff to talk about. Because I was like, I don't even know what to talk about. We've already talked about Quidditch and like
your word choice, Animus.
Oh, Animus?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting because like there's a lot about animals. So like like it has the same root. But Animus is like people being angry at each other. Everyone's angry right now.
Ron.
Literally everybody is angry.
Why are you so mad? Except poor Neville. I feel so bad for him because he's just
the Nevster.
He's gonna get, and also, geez, poor Ron. He's just
so one thing I did look
Sirius
up
Black is here.
Was but I didn't want to talk about it in this one because I was like, I'm sure we'll have one later that maybe is better. I was like, oh, like Malfoy and them get detention. Like, what are different forms of punishment at Hogwarts? Like specifically, like what are they?
Like the cleaning.
And interestingly enough, I think I read that Neville gets his Hogsmeade permission revoked after this incident. Yeah, so that was kind of funny.
Yeah,
but it was like this
they
specific...
love Hogsmeade. It's like a whole.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
imagine
Fred and George went there.
they're like, "Oh, where'd you get this?" And
I was thinking about the shopkeeper being like,
I
know you guys.
they're so charming. It's fine.
It's capitalist Hogsmeade.
Yeah.
They don't care. Give me the money.
What do you think Percy's gonna do with those 10 galleons?
I presume that Fred and George took some of it already to go buy goodies. But I don't know.
Yeah. I was trying to remember. I didn't look this up. I was trying to remember if
I love that. Like,
if we know who Percy and is like, are
Penelope?
they dating forever, or do they get married? Or...
I don't know. I don't think they get married, but they were dating in the last one.
Okay,
because that was the secret or whatever.
No,
where,
I know
like,
the last
Ginny
one. But
had this secret.
I was trying to remember, like.
I don't know if they break up or not.
To what extent she's around.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Because in Half-Blood Prince, Percy
trying to think,
pops
is he
in
head
and out
boy
every
right
now
now?
and then.
He
But
is,
he's
right?
not like...
He's head boy, so he's 7th year.
Is he head?
This is it for him?
He put on...
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
He put on a badge. Was that
Yeah.
the head boy badge or his prefect badge?
I don't, who knows?
I don't remember.
It's all blurring together.
We are expert on the details right here.
Yeah, every day is 6 years of life, and so we've been doing this podcast for
84
nigh
years.
on 10 centuries. Yeah. Okay, good stuff.
That's all that I have for
that was
my
great.
research
That was
so
great.
far. But like I said, poor Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Waking up in the middle of the night, a dude with a actual nightmare, dude with a knife. No one believes him. McGonagall goes out.
Great storytelling, because like it will in the next chapter immediately become a question of like, well, how did he mess up and like accidentally go to Ron's 4-poster instead of Harry's? Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, well, until next time.
Until next time.
One's ready.